I'll bet none of, well, no, God, that's not going to work. It's still cold. It's not the same day, but it's still cold. So anyway, that's beside the point. Thank you for paying attention thus far. Hopefully we've got some useful information for you and that all this, I don't know, this that we're telling you has been at least informative at the best, or at the least, all right? Maybe it's actually functional at its best, and that's our goal anyway, is to make it functional for you. So, that said, let's talk about the 3 steps. All right? If you don't know what is, then, well, you probably don't know about this video. So, anyway, long story about that. I don't want to get into that. So, anyway, y'all wanted to know how to, y'all want to know how to function? You all want to know how to do things in your world. Make coffee, drink coffee, make wood, play with wood, whatever it is that you want to do, we can set it up as a behavior. All right. So if we think about behaviors, that's what we're going to think about. So anyway, I'm getting way ahead of myself. So let me back up just a little bit. So there really is just 3 parts to doing things, right? Now, I'm well aware that you can go dig a little bit deeper and find a few more things, but we're going to focus on 3 that are really important. These 3 have been around for a long time. They were discovered in, oh gosh, the early 1900s. And you might think, well, it's old and it's not valuable. No, old tools are pretty cool, all right? And in this case, and they still function.
Like fire.
Like fire. Fire works, right?
And the wheel.
I'm at the wheel. Cameraman should be in front of the lens today. He's doing better than me. So old tools. No, seriously, you could probably look around my shop and find a bunch of old tools. They all work just fine. Why? Because I took care of them. Well, science took care of these tools. Science studied these tools. We discovered that there were 3 pieces to any behavior, and then we've added some pieces on. And we'll get into those in some later stuff later in this course. So anyway, but right now I want you to think of behavior in 3 ways. All right. So we've got to think about behavior, and I'm talking about all this behavior stuff. So again, ahead of myself, I'm talking myself in circles. Anyway, here we go. You ready? 3-term contingency. Very technical term. It just basically means a rule. All right. So all behavior functions on the 3-term contingency. Right? Now we have to define what behavior is, which that's really simple. Okay. This behaving is so simple that almost anybody does it. Behavior, the type of behavior that we're talking about, is any action that you engage in. Yep. Even that one. And some of you went naughty. I didn't. I was just thinking about thinking, which is an ing, which, hey, guess what? If it ends in ing, it's probably a behavior, okay? In other words, all the verbs, and most specifically, the types of verbs that we're talking about are the ones that you choose to do. So choice behavior, the stuff that you want to do, the voluntary behavior. You want to work on a car? Great. You want to work on a board? Great. You want to build a jewelry box? Great. All of that fun stuff is behavior. You want to yell and scream? You want to make a video? You want to teach people about the 3-term contingency? That's all behavior. Teaching, thinking, eating, drinking, sleeping. That one too. Drilling, sanding, grinding, whatever. Anyway, so I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. Again, as always, that seems to be the theme of this video. So back to behavior. Actually, we've already done behavior. It's the things you do, all right? So verbs. We're going to help you figure out how to verb. That's really just verbing. So not verbiage, verbing. Okay. Let's see what we got. 3 terms. Discriminative stimulus. Woo! Technical term. We'll come back to that in a minute. R, a response, and, okay, some type of consequence. All right, that consequence can be a stimulus that's reinforcing, so SR, or a stimulus that's punishing, SP. Or it could be nothing, which is an interesting level response. We call that extinction. Nothing. There's a flat line, right? So that was never mind. Anyway, so I think there's a better way to present this, though. So a discriminative stimulus, a response, and then some type of, I don't know, reinforcer or punisher. That's the technical terms. But I think I got a better way to present this. My pen's about dead. It's losing its function. Ready? This right here is our whiteboard. All right? So we're writing things on wood so it sticks, so you remember. Okay? So when we talk about discriminative stimuli, that pen is like literally going to die on me. So A, antecedent. These are the things that come before behavior. These are triggers. Right? Whoa, I just said the word trigger. Oh my gosh. When people say the word trigger, they actually mean something specific. They mean that, whoa, something in their world happened that got them to do something. pissed them off, all right? You want to trigger me? Say something inappropriate about behavior. Something that's completely full of... I'm not going to go into what that is because it's not fair. But basically, people that say stuff that should know better, when they do, I get torqued, I get triggered, right? So triggering is something that happens, right? A discriminative stimulus, an antecedent, some type of an event. Go to the shop. That's an antecedent, right? I'm going to do shop type work, right? So these are just things that happen before behavior. A lot of people think they come right before behavior, but they don't have to. Sometimes they can come days, hours, weeks, whatever. So anyway, just stuff that happens before behavior. And then we have this. B. I'll bet y'all can figure out what that is, all right? So we have an antecedent. We have a B for behavior, all right? I'll put a little dash here to connect these things, okay? Now, this connection doesn't mean that it's not like a chain. It's not like a link in a chain, all right? This can happen, like I said, days, weeks, whatever, beforehand. So antecedents, something, this could even be things you've learned to do or things you've observed in the past. Just stimulus, stuff you can detect, stuff you're familiar with, all right? B, really simple, behavior, right? Again, any action that you do that's a voluntary action. It's a little different for your reflexes. We don't have this fancy contingency, we have something else. But we're just talking about your choice behavior right now, stuff you choose to do. Okay, so, and then we have the last piece, and you guys have probably already figured out what this is. My pen is dying. I hope you can see that. Woo! My board is so cold it won't write. Good enough. It's a C. If you see, it's a C. All right. So A, B, C. All right. So antecedents, behaviors, consequences. Consequences are the things that follow behavior. We want these to be nice and tightly related to each other. And there's reasons why. Now, some of you are thinking consequences, they're negative, they're bad. No, consequences are neutral. They don't mean good, they don't mean bad. Consequences are just consequences. All right? So, consequence to making healthy decisions in the kitchen is I'll feel better. The consequence for using this scraper without a glove is I'll cut my finger or burn it because it gets really hot. All right? In this, with this whiteboard, this is actually our eraser. Anyway, so consequences don't have to be good, they don't have to be bad, they're just consequences. Now there's two types of consequences, there's three, but we'll talk about two. Two types. One, reinforcement, right? There's lots of types, we'll get into that in a little bit, but consequences that strengthen behavior, and then we have consequences that weaken behavior. The ones that weaken behavior, those are punishers. Now some of you are going, well, you're getting into dealing with my words, and you're kind of worried about some of the definitions. The definitions I'm using are the ones that we use in science, and I don't know why my cat's out here, but he's a good boy. Oh, come here, kitty. Oh, all right. So we're going to play around with him a little bit. He's going to. This is Hamilton, everybody. Hi, Hamilton. Say hi to the camera. He kind of does. He's getting his purr on. All right. I don't know how he got outside. That's crazy. Anyway, so he's learned how to get outside. So I've got what? So the door was ajar. He opened the door. He got outside. That getting outside, I bet, is pretty reinforcing for him. So I would bet a golden donut that this cat will try to open that door again in the future if he notices it's ajar. Now, that is an example of the three-term contingency. And he's wiggly, he wants to go away. Let's explore, don't you? You trying to explore your world? Okay, anyway. So, three-term contingency, folks. That's what you need to know to manage behavior. And, more importantly, we're going to work here and here to change this. So you want to be a nicer person? Do this and this. You got to mess with these things, right? We teach people what to do. We don't want to teach them what not to do. You little wiggly bugger. I'm not going to let you go. All right. So you just want to sit there like that. That's fine. All right. So I'm getting reinforced for holding him appropriately. No, I'm not. Oh, no. So anyway, so that's that. And I suppose this just is good for you to know for a bunch of reasons. But if you're trying to get people to work, if you're going to try to get people to act, if you're going to try to get people to think, if you're going to try to get people to do anything, you better understand a little bit about behavior in order to make it happen. That's what we're here for, and that's what we're trying to do. So, we got more videos coming up. Hang on, I'll prepare my board for it, and we'll get ready for the next lecture that gets into these in a little bit more detail. Thank you.